Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff, and I love the snow. It's great to be here at Copper this morning. It reminded me when I drove in that about 2.5 years ago, I invited a woman for a ski date. It was our first date. It actually, I think, turned out to be a ski test. I wasn't sure who was actually being tested. But last week, I married that woman, and she's over here. Her name is Mary. It was minus 13 that morning when we got on the lift, by the way. She hung in. I want to tell you another story this morning, and that's about why I'm up here on crutches. Last July 15th, I summited La Plata Peak. It's Colorado's 5th highest peak. I summited just before 9 a.m. It was a beautiful, beautiful Colorado morning, still somewhat cold on top with a light breeze. I cranked up the mountain that morning, feeling really good. There was one guy I couldn't catch. He turned out to be an ultramarathoner that I talked to at the top, and exchanged some pleasantries with him, ate my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and turned downhill. 30 minutes later, I was lying in a pile of suitcase-sized boulders at the bottom of a steep snowfield, and was severely injured. I broke both my legs, one of them multiple times. I broke my arm, which I'm not sure if it was a compound fracture. Fortunately, the bone was back in by the time I looked at it, and both my arms were bleeding from trying to stop myself during a plunge down that snowfield. I lost my cell phone, my watch, my hat, my sunglasses. I was in pretty bad shape. I spent the next 22 hours trying to manage my injuries, splint my leg, and drag myself to a more favorable bivouac spot on the side of this mountain. That ended up being a rock outcropping at about 13,000 feet. I had these great visions that I could drag myself 2 miles like Joel Simpson did in Touching the Void and get help. But the fact of the matter is that I got about 150 feet in 4 hours. By 3 a.m. the next morning, I was badly hypothermic, shivering violently, suffering from exposure. I had begun hallucinating, lapsing into either unconsciousness or sleep. I don't really know which, but I needed some help. And then a voice from above, not the Almighty, but a rescuer from Chaffee County Rescue, a man named Donnie Smith. He is a humble paramedic by day, and in my case, a human mountain goat at night, where he routinely is the first person to reach the injured party. He yelled at me from above. I saw his headlamp up there, about 500 feet above me, and he then climbed down this snowfield, unfamiliar to him at night, under his headlamp, at one point front pointing on his crampons and using his ice axe to get down to me, bringing me warmth and medication. When he reached me, he told me they had a plan to rescue me by helicopter sometime after sunrise. So as I was enjoying my night under the stars with Donnie, unbeknownst to me, it was a beautiful night, by the way. Unbeknownst to me, my family, Mary and my family, were setting up that I be taken to a level 1 trauma center in Denver. They knew I was hurt badly, and we had a connection down there, and they were setting all that up. But somewhat remarkably, Donnie's radio crackled, and the SAR incident commander asked him to ask me where I wanted to go for treatment, or where I wanted to be taken to. And here I am. I'm a physical wreck. I'm on pain meds, and they're asking me where I want to go. Well, It turns out that years earlier, I had a friend in St. Anthony's Summit Medical Center who was ill, and I went and spent the night there with him to help care for him and give his wife a break. And I remembered that place. There was something about it. I also thought it was closer, and I thought my reasoning was that if they took me there, I would be stabilized and they would send me on to Denver for the orthopedic care that I would certainly need. So I asked to go to St. Anthony's, and they believed me, not my family. At about 9 a.m. that morning, an Army Black Hawk helicopter lifted Donnie and me off the mountain and took us to Twin Lakes, where I was transferred to a Frisco-based Flight for Life helicopter. And that helicopter, with an all-woman crew, go girls, yes, they were awesome. They delivered my wrecked body to Summit Medical Center, where I spent the next 4 weeks. While in that hospital, a number of skilled surgeons that are all sitting right here at the table in front of me, thank you, Rick, Aaron, and Zan, they screwed my bones back together, while other doctors and nurses slowly brought my body back to life. Physical and occupational therapists began working with me to get me to regain my capability and teach me how to move with 2 broken legs. Can be done. And then chaplains and social workers even came by my room to pray for my recovery and help me sort out some of the deeper things that were going on. The level of personal attention there was absolutely remarkable. It was incredible. Even my family admitted that I had made a good choice, not by crossing the snowfield that day, but by asking to come to Frisco. In those 4 weeks, I began to notice something else, that every single person that left my room, from the cafeteria workers who brought my meals to CEO Lee Boyles, every one of them, before they left my room, asked me if there was anything else they could get me. Is there anything else I can get for you? I heard that hundreds of times, and no one ever left my room without asking me that question. It was an incredible culture. So St. Anthony's Summit Medical Center is an incredible facility. I can vouch for that. And I hope that you all recognize it as this amazing resource in your community. And thanks to the staff and the surgeons and the hospital, I am alive and recovering. And the best part is that I expect to be back on my skis, Zan, before the end of the next season. Thank you. So I'm very grateful to Lee Boyles for giving me the opportunity to thank this town, this community this morning, and I thank you all for your time and attention this morning.